What's going on, everybody? Got the Underground Rider here from Engine Notes from Underground, bringing you a review of my my own bike today. It's a 2010 Kawasaki Z1000. It's got 16,500 miles on it. I got it with 3,000 last February. Put about 15,000 on it. Done a little bit here and there, a lot to refresh it. It was, a 9-year-old, almost 10-year-old bike when I bought it. So there were some things that needed to be done to bring it back up to speed. But for the most part, like the painted wheels were already done. The painted front fender was already done. The slip-ons were already put on. They're just a lot more packed in now, and they'll get a little louder for just being slip-ons. It's got stock chain, stock sprocket. I've got a power commander underneath the seat right now. At some point, I'm going to move on to the Ivan's tune when I get the full exhaust, maybe this winter. But for now, that's how it is still. It's got some advantages to being a little bit quieter. Before I go any further with the review, I'm just going to apologize for the basketball game going across the street if that's distracting you. And the planes that will be coming over, they'll be, probably featured on this channel for any review when I stop at home. Because I'm just not going to sit here over a 20-minute video and edit out 10 planes. It's just, I don't have the time for it. Here comes one now. It's only 2 engines, so I could probably talk over it. The jumbo jets, the 4-engine ones, you're never going to hear me over that. So, okay. Anyways, back to the bike. We're running the Michelin Power 5s right now as my tires. Last set I had on there was Metzeler Sportec M7Rs. And before that, there were some Shinkos on there that came from the factory. Those were in the 190/50 size, so I'm not even going to compare the Shinkos to the other tires. They heated up all right and everything, but yeah, with the 190/55 size on the rear, it really does help make the bike a little bit more tippy. It doesn't feel like you're kind of fighting it to get the turn, then all of a sudden it's falling over with that 190/50 size. Any Z rider, any Ninja 1000 rider will tell you pretty much the same thing. It's one of the best mods to do on one of these bikes. Once I get the full tune on there, I'm planning on doing a larger sprocket size. Go down a couple in the back, maybe even up one in the front too. Because it's got a lot of torque. We'll go over specs really quick. The engine makes, I think, a claimed 136 horsepower at the crank at the factory. They dyno them at like 125 to 129 with those slip-ons on it and good oil in it. The Ivan's tune and full system, I guess they dyno at like 146. So I guess the manufacturers might claim that to be like 160 at the crank, which would be pretty good. It's pretty stout considering the bike's not super heavy. When you got the full system on there, it'll be down in the 460s weight-wise. And, yeah. It's got a lot of torque right off the line. That's the biggest thing. With the full exhaust and tune and everything, the torque's over 90 foot-pounds, claimed at the crank. It'll make 85 on the dyno all day. And it's making over 50 foot-pounds of torque from 2,500 RPM. So from 2,500 RPM, this thing pulls like a tractor. 2,500 RPM is low on a bike. I know if you're into cars and stuff, it doesn't sound that low. But on bikes, yeah, that's pretty low to have peak torque. It's like, it's like a diesel. And it carries the whole way through, too. The engine winds out pretty good still because it's a 4-cylinder. When I rode the Yamahas at the demo event, both the MT-09 and the MT-10, the MT-09 had a little bit of that kind of tractor-like punch, but it didn't really carry through. Whereas the MT-10 kind of felt wheezy on the bottom, but had more in the mid-range. This thing here, I like the engine's dynamic. I think once it's making a little bit more power, you can up the ratio without losing that character. And maybe get the revs down a little bit on the highway, get the mileage down a little bit. Mileage wise, the thing is getting me about 40, mid 40s, low to mid 40s on the highway if I'm taking it easy and just cruising along. 75. You don't really want to go too much faster than a true 75 on the highway with the secondaries open up and then it really starts drinking fuel. Like it'll drink fuel at 90, but especially with that gearing. But it's really not bad. Like 75 for what it is. Mid 40s. Although I probably average somewhere in the mid 30s, low to mid 30s with my fuel mileage around town, on the highway, and on, you know, the twisties that we do have around here in Chicago. There are some spots if you know how to find them. And hopefully I hope to bring you some of those rides, some of these Galena rides as we move forward. This is the first video on the channel. Excuse me. Maybe I'll bring you a review of a 2007. Yeah, it's a 13-year-old dog right there. Anyway, so the bike. Yeah, it's a great bike. The Power Commander did help soften the throttle a little bit, although I guess it really never was too bad. It's always had that torque though. From, I mean, even in 6th gear at 60 miles an hour, this thing was kind of like, holy crap, you know, it feels like 3rd gear on an F4i or something. And actually, one time, here's a quick little story that nobody's gonna believe. I was climbing a hill up like a really big bridge around here, and next to me, an R6 downshifted to 2nd. I had my feet up on the forward controls, or not the forward controls, I'm sorry, but the using them like forward controls up on the frame sliders, leaving it in 6th gear from 40 miles an hour with the R6 going down to 2nd gear, and I stayed right with them the whole way up the hill. It was hilarious, all the way to like 110. That's what I'm saying though, this thing makes torque. It'll just deliver it at any RPM in any gear. It's, you know, more, and with that really short stack transmission, it's just, you know, 6th gear on this thing is like 4th on like a ZX10 or something like that, you know what I mean? So yeah, these Power 5s have definitely been the best gripping tire I've had on it. I've definitely had it well over to the edge. There's no chicken strips there, and they look like they've been spun up a little bit because I was doing little like grass burnouts. I love these tires for going up like the on-ramps, man, digging that front end right into the, man, it's great. The Power 5s really do grip. M7RRs, I noticed the front wore out a lot faster than I've done on this Power 5. And it wore out at the exact same rate as the rear, but the front always felt more vague. It felt like it was almost, you know, maybe grease smearing a little bit just at road speeds. Whereas this is like glue. This rear though is getting a little square from, you know, riding it around Chicago. A lot of time on the highway, a lot of time, you know, city streets, so a lot of highway poles that wears out your center. But got my Corona mask on the plate so you can't tell who I am. You'll never find me. The bike hasn't been on the track yet. It will be probably next year though, and maybe I'll even mount a camera on the bike somewhere and, you know, bring a track day vid if anybody's interested. You know, obviously it's not as good as a ZX6 or an R6 on the track, right? That would be the quintessential track bike, but it's really not bad. I got the forks, got some good valving and good oil up there. I'm going to be doing an upgraded rear shock at some point. The thing doesn't handle bad. It's you know, easy to underestimate it. Yeah, let's see, what other bikes should I compare it to? I went on a group ride with a couple of KTM Super Dukes. They were a part of the group ride at least. Through the twisties, might just be a rider thing. I'm not the greatest by far, but I do know how to kind of, you know, push it a little bit. These guys couldn't keep up in the twisties with this thing, even though I had, you know, easily less than or more than 30 less horsepower than they did, but about equal torque. They couldn't hang with me, not in the twisties. On the straightaways, yeah, they were faster, but their bikes just didn't seem as stable. They seemed to pogo, and yeah, this thing just kind of munches the turns like a ZX9. That's almost what this thing reminds me of. It reminds me of a ZX9 with high bars. A little bit torqueier. If you've ever ridden a ZX9, you know, you might know what I mean. So yeah, what else could I talk about the bike? Reliability wise, okay. So I had the regulator go out on me when I first got the bike. Now, it was a 9-year-old bike with 3,000 miles on it, so the bike spent most of its life, like you're seeing it right now, on its kickstand before I got it. It's been ridden in the last year, like 6 times more than it's been ridden in the previous 9 years before that. So, you know, a lot of stuff. I've replaced all the brakes. The brake fluid I haven't done yet. I know, naughty, it's starting to get a little dirty. That's probably going to happen. I've been putting it off because I was going to get the steel braided lines put on there. And maybe even one of those RS19 Brembo front brake calipers. Because, or not calipers, I mean master cylinders. Because this isn't bad. But I don't like the levers that the bike came with, these little midget bitch levers. And I'd like to get rid of them. And why not get a really nice master cylinder, which will do more to improve the brakes than any caliper job would, and it'll be way cheaper than any caliper job would be. And then at just some point, do some, new stock Kawasaki rotors. There's one guy on a older looking BMW sporty bike. Nice. Anyway. Yeah. Replace these levers, get some nice Brembo longer levers on it. Because these shorty levers, if you haven't used them, they kind of take a little bit of the feel out of it. They kind of, yeah, they just detract from your riding a little bit. The rear brake is kind of soft, but that's good because, when you're hard on the front, it doesn't take much to lock up the rear because you've taken all the weight off your rear tire. You know what I mean? So you kind of want your rear brake to stay soft. Maybe if you've got like a cruiser bike, which I could review that little old Shadow 500 later. If you got a cruiser bike like that, you might want a harder rear brake because you're just, using that to stop at a stoplight sometimes. You don't even really want to hit the front brake and, make the bike get all upset. That's different, a different style of riding though. This thing, track style riding, you're going to be on the front brake a lot harder. And when you are, you don't want to be lifting the rear. And I just sprayed this down with some like spray wax, and it's just attracting bugs. I've got wasps in those garbage cans. They're all over the damn thing. They're all over me. I've been fighting wasps all day. I know, I'm stressed. Anyway. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Life is good. Life's always good. Remember that, man. There's nothing that's ever like that bad. It could always be worse. Sorry, I'm screwing with my camera here. Alright. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. The bike's pretty easy to launch, even though it's got short gearing. I've never really had a problem with it. I think, just having a regular standard cable clutch helps that a lot, right? I've never been beaten off the line with it off the lights. It's quick. It's got a lot of torque, a lot of shove down low into like, $130. It's about as quick as anything out there. After that, you're going to get left behind by the leader bikes for sure. I've actually been on the highway. I've been left behind by an S1000 RR that was 2 up. And that was fucking embarrassing. He just ran away from me. But, the bike hops out at 152 with the way it's geared right now. So, get real. You know what I mean? Look at old Checkers over there. She just chillin'. Checker. Yep, that's an old dog. What is it? 7 years? Human years to dog years? So what the hell is 7 times 13? Someone know? Is that like 92? 91? 91? Don't make fun of me. 91. I knew that. It's a 91-year-old dog over there. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's a decent bike. It's stout, torquey. Sorry, people at the park were distracting me there, and I'm getting messages. It's stout, it's torquey, it's got the power. It can actually carve up a corner. It can do the slow stuff. It can do the fast stuff. I've never ever been beaten down to twisties with it yet, and I've never been left behind too bad on the highway either, unless we're talking about just wide open stuff. So if you're thinking about getting one of these things because you saw one used and you like the look of the third gen because they're kind of unique with the samurai style and with the you know, angular tail. The rear tail's freaking sweet, man. The rear tail, like as opposed to the front tail, idiot. No, the rear is freaking really nice on the bike though. The white seat's hard to keep clean. I'm probably gonna put a cowl on there eventually, but you know, they did the tail right. The sergeant seat helps get it nice and high. Doesn't look like, you know, you're sitting way down in the bike anymore. It really improves the lines of it. It's a sweet bike, guys. It's as good as any other 1000cc naked out there. I don't care. You can say the Jix just makes more power. It's true. You can say the Super Duke makes more power. The 2.0's, you know, supposed to be perfect and this and that. This thing, I had the regulator go out on it. It had sat for so long, but other than that, there's nothing that this bike needed. It's still on its stock sprockets with 16,000 miles stock chain. I've only tightened it maybe 2 or 3 times. It's super easy to tighten too with those concentric adjusters. Just break the axle loose. Iron each side. Those nuts, one there, and then you just do your adjustment. You know, you put your wrench in there, do your adjustments, make sure to do to that side, you know, same thing on the other side. Check your tightness. You obviously don't want it too tight, right? I got a new clutch for it, a Barnett clutch I'm gonna put in there soon. What else? Yeah, no, it's a fun bike, man. It's a real fun bike. I don't like running synthetic oils. Everybody praises the Motul 300V and the, what's the lesser one? The 7100. I found that those too slippery for the clutch. They tend to film, and it gets really inconsistent and really annoying in street driving. And they do flow really good on startup and all that. But what kind of plane we got? Ooh, look at that! We got ourselves a jumbo jet taking off, turning northwest. Yeah. It's a sweet bike for sure, guys. This is the view that most of you will be seeing of it. I'm just kidding. But yeah, seriously. Oh, okay, yeah. So I was talking about oil. The plane distracted me. So I'm running Castrol Activo right now, which is a semi-synthetic. It's a little thicker, I've noticed, especially for the summer. That's what you want, you know. It doesn't burn up so much. It's not seeping around so much. It's just kind of doing what it's supposed to and not what it's not. You know, in the winter, those synthetics, more full synthetics, or even the Motul 5100 might make a little bit more sense because they flow better when they're colder and when you're at startup and all that. But for the summer riding, man, my recommendation would be to stay away from that stuff. Also, when I change my oil, I like to change my oil when it's hot. Even the 5100, 50, whatever the hell it is. I'm sure I got some right over here. I'm sorry. What's up, Lori? I named this bike Lori. Oh yeah, the Z's name is Zoe. Zoe to Z. Anyway, yeah, the 5100 here. That stuff's not as bad, but even that, when I change it, comes out looking like it's like soda or something like that. Doesn't look like how oil should be. And I understand it's hot and flowing really good, but still, it should have a little bit more viscosity. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on oil. Run the can unfilter. It's good. It's easy. It's got the nut on the front, the nut end to it, so that way you could crank it off real easy with a wrench. And it's the same size wrench on the filter that your drain plug is, so that's really useful. Never seen this thing leak oil anywhere except for when I was changing the oil and I had not had any extra drain plugs. I'd ran out or whatever, not drain plugs, but the gasket, you know, so I reused the old gasket. That was the only oil leak I've ever had. Otherwise, this thing has never leaked any oil. Only ever had the regulator go out, which didn't even strand me. It actually, it stalled out completely and then still got me home after restarting with a bump start. And then, no matter what I did, it just fried that battery out. It wouldn't start again. Until I got the new regulator in there, and then it started fine. Again, stock chain and sprockets. The sprockets still have plenty of life on them, too. They probably got at least another 5,000 miles on them, no problem. With some decently aggressive riding. No burnouts. I don't really drop the clutch for wheelies either, but plenty of, you know, accelerating and all that good stuff. Deaccelerating, you know, turning. Yeah. Sometimes the bike even stands still, like it is now. Alright guys, sorry, this is running on 20 minutes. I'm wasting all your time. This is the Underground Rider from the Engine Notes from Underground channel. I just misspoke. 21 minutes into a video. This is my first video. I'm not gonna, you know, worry too much about it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, maybe I'll try harder next time, and maybe I won't. You guys have a good one. Peace.